think, oh, we about to get money, you a doctor, white coat. Nah. Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. My name is Tracy A and this is Med School Mondays. I'm sorry for the lighting. The sun is doing these weird things. I got this line across my chest and it's blinding me and it's hot right now. But today I guess we're going to be talking about my curriculum. I know you're looking at the title of this and you're just like, how in the world were you able to get your bachelor's in less than 3 years? Bruh. I don't know how I did it, but it was done. Before we get into this video, please like, comment, and subscribe. Well, you can't like it unless you like it, but I know you're gonna like it but yeah, no, subscribe because I'm giving you good stuff here, you know what I mean? No, I don't go to Bentley. I don't even know where this is. This is a thrifted sweater from somewhere in my house and it's comfortable. As I said before, my school is primary care based, and meaning that they're trying to kind of guide us into the direction of primary care due to the fact that, you know, they're trying to increase the amount of primary care physicians in the community. By increasing the amount of primary care physicians you have in the community, you're more likely to decrease the amount of specialty doctors or specialty, I guess, interactions that these patients need to have. In other words, if you're to get a patient, if you have a patient and you try to give them a healthier lifestyle, they're less likely to have to go to cardiologist for a bypass surgery, or they're less likely to have to go under surgery to get their knees or something fixed or something, if you can prevent that. So it's almost like preventative medicine. This is what happens. Straight off the bat, we are put in accelerated classes. So we took physics 203, I believe, but yeah, it's like physics, but it's not regular physics because it wasn't like 101, was it 102, was it 103, it was none of that. It was a whole step up. And I remember in our class we had graduate students in our class that were like mastering in physics, so it was like a more higher level course. And that physics, it was like all of 203. One semester we had a really strenuous teacher who was really hard on us, but you know, I can say that was a really tough time, especially coming from a place where it's like you're in high school. Not that you didn't have to study, but you studied and you knew what you got and you're like, yeah, it's lit. No, coming into college, it was not like that. You can study, you can pray and fast, you go and sweat, you know, you can still fail that test, which is what kind of not knocked me off my pedestal, but that shit had shook. Okay, I was shook. It was hard for me to even fathom, like that was the first time I ever failed anything in my life, like an actual test, because my mom was really strict when it came to grades, and it was just really hard on me. Like thinking about it now, like physics was hard. I took animal physiology, so you know, because we're like a med school program, I guess the curriculum isn't set up where you needed to take Bio 101 or Bio 102. So because we're going to get that technically along the line. So we took animal physiology, which was more of basically physio and understanding like the balance of like electrolytes and all that stuff within using animals as our subject. We took like regular writing composition, and then we had another class where it was more of like, I don't even know how to explain the class, but she was like, she's like one of those
getting to know you, and we got to write a lot of free writing, and we had to tap into parts of ourselves that we weren't really accustomed to tapping into. We had to write a lot. It was a really interesting class. It was
eye-opening. I mean, for me at least, I enjoyed that class. I probably didn't get an A because I was playing games in my life, but you know, I loved the class. It was a great class. Oh, we took global, like regular global history. This is like my spring of my freshman semester. So I took a couple of classes. I took US history. I took general chem. So basically, here's where everything just starts to speed up. You know how you're supposed to say you're supposed to say chemistry one whole year, take 2 semesters. So we took all of general chemistry in 1 semester, and that was like legit the hardest moment of my life.
I did not do well at all. I had to actually take it again, reassess it again, because it was just really hard, and I've never taken chemistry before. If you know the New York City public school system, whatchamacallit, they have failed us. I feel like they have failed us when it comes to just regents, especially when it comes to the teachers want you to do is pass the regents, and the regents were not hard, they were dumb easy in my eyes. So like all I had to do was pass the test. I didn't really have to understand the materials, had to know how to take a test. That's cool with me, I can do that. So chemistry, I didn't even know chemistry had equations until I got into college, and I'm just like,
I gotta calculate the pi, what? Gen Chem was hard. So basically we took all of Gen Chem 1 semester, and in doing so, like we were basically learning a new chapter or a new chapter or 2 chapters a week almost. That was insane. And that's where I learned, like, you don't have to like technically study to understand material. Sometimes you actually have to study to take a person's test. The way the professor gave us the tests were very different. It wasn't anything I was used to, and then I wasn't really prepared for it. I thought I knew how to do it from reading the textbook. It was more of like you had to understand how to, you have to actually legit understand the material so that if he threw anything at you, you'll be fine. But yeah, I had a hard time with that. I took physics 204 that semester as well, and that's like the electromagnetic waves and stuff and sound waves, and didn't really matter. And I took writing for the sciences, which is basically learning how to write a research paper. Those classes you need to take. So now it is the fall term of my sophomore year, and this is where things kind of picked up in my life. So basically, I took biostats, and biostats is just like regular biostatistics. If you took statistics, it's the same thing. Understand how things are statistically significant, all that jazz. I took genetics, also a very intense professor, and that class was based on a curve. So if the class did well and you did not meet that curve, you failed, and that happened to me. And also genetics was really hard for me because in my eyes, I was also taking organic chemistry. So basically, organic chemistry is supposed to be, once again, 2 semesters, but it wasn't for us. We took everything in 1 semester, and we also had a very strenuous professor as well. And because of this, it was more of like you had to like kind of pick your battles. The way our school was set up, because it's a program, and if you failed the accelerated course, you had to reassess, and if you failed the reassessment, then you get put back a year. I got into a 7-year program to be done in 7 years, and I didn't want that to happen. So in my head, I was like, well, if I take this accelerated class, I really wanted to do well, because I was like, you already reassessed Gen Chem, you don't want to do that again. So I took chemistry, organic chemistry, and I'm like, you're gonna pass this class and you're gonna do well, and I did. So basically all my focus was on general chemistry instead of genetics, and not that I didn't do like horribly in genetics, so I just could never meet the curve. Moving forward to the spring semester, we finished the accelerated sciences. We've basically finished all of our sciences by now, and this is where we just like, now it's like time to kind of not relax, but like relax low-key. Okay, so I took African American music, I took biochemistry, the first part of it, which is pretty cool. We had a really cool professor. It was supposed to be, that class is a whole year long, and at the end of the year, so it's from January of sophomore year to December of junior year, basically that's where you're taking molecules to cells, what it was called, but it's actually biochem. And at the end of that, you have to take a board, and that's like the beginning of us taking boards. That's how like they're like, yo, we still med school. I hope you didn't forget Health Medicine Society 1 and Health Medicine Society 3. So one of those Health Medicine and Societies, it was just like it was an eye-opening moment for me as a Black woman, because I feel like it was more of like learning about health disparities within the world and the country. We learned about female genital mutilations. We learned about doulas. We learned about many different things, but one thing I think that stuck with me was the fact that we learned about like just health disparities among us as a population, and it was kind of intense because I felt kind of like naked. I remember sitting there in the lecture hall, everyone's like wide-eyed looking at the screen, and you're seeing stats about you as a Black female, seeing that your kids will be the first ones to die as out of the womb. Like, you know, it was a whole bunch of things that just kind of hurt me, and I left that class feeling more aware of who I actually am and where I stand in this country. And it was just really, it was saddening, but it was enlightening. We learned about the Sojourner's Truth Syndrome. We learned about systematic oppression. We learned about so many other things, because it's like, because, you know, we are primary care based, I think our school believed that if they were to tell us or teach us about all these things as factors that play into the patients that we will be treating in the future, that we'll have a better understanding. Because everyone's like, oh, why is the hood so full of all this stuff, da 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 da, but you don't understand, it's the way the system was set up, you know what I'm saying? Like, I don't want to get into that now, but it's just learning stuff like that was pretty cool. And then we also learned how to conduct patient interviews. So we spent the whole semester learning how to do that, because in all honesty, if you can't get a good interview out of a patient, medical interview out of a patient, you are unable to do your job as a doctor, because that is where it needs to come from the patient itself, or themselves, or the client themselves. So that was pretty cool. I also worked as a visiting nurse the entire time. Yeah, I worked like, I don't know how, but I worked 40 hours a week. I basically worked full time. I was making that money. In the summer of between sophomore year and junior year, we took POM 2. So basically we were sent off into different communities within the New York City area, and we had to kind of almost like, it was a different type of healthcare facilities. Some people got into peds clinics, some people got into different types of clinics, people were in the hospital, and basically you have to conduct research with them. Community is called a community health assessment, which they do within each community, kind of see where things are at. And I was in assisted living facility for elderly. So basically I was with like 90-year-olds, some 100-year-olds, and kind of like doing research with them and realizing certain things. We do a big paper at the end, and then we submitted it. And that was our summer. Fall semester of my junior year, I did get my white coat, as I said before, so I was like introducing us into the medical field and all that stuff, so that was pretty cool. I took ethics, which was pretty cool. You know, I've taken ethics courses. I took the end of biochem. I took epidemiology. So epidemiology was pretty interesting because it was just learning how to do stats and all that stuff, and at the time we were thinking, oh, we don't really need this class, but you do, because moving forward, research is legit the way to go. Like, you have to be reading new research articles every single day as a physician, as a doctor, whatever, because you need to understand how things are changing, how things are moving within the country, and this thing, and even in your own field, it won't stay the same, okay? So we have to learn, legit, even as a doctor, you're learning every day, one from your patient, and two from articles that you should be reading. We did U.S. healthcare, and it was like U.S. healthcare systems. So basically, that was pretty interesting because you were able to learn about how messed up the U.S. healthcare system is in America in comparison to other countries, how it differs and all that stuff. And that's pretty cool, basically understanding how and why patients are unable to get certain things, or how people get paid. Because you think, oh, we about to get money, you a doctor, white coat. Nah, insurance companies, they're the ones that hold your money. So yeah, at the end of the fall semester of my junior year, I did take a board exam, took the board, took the test, final, passed the class. The board is basically everything from biochemistry, and it was a USMLE standard, so it was whatever the USMLE, which I cannot remember right now, but it's like the medical something. And that's where everyone and you're kind of based upon everyone else in the nation, which was pretty intense. Being that was my first board, that was pretty intense. So then, lastly, the spring semester of my junior year was when I basically concluded my undergrad. So this is what I took. I took practice of medicine again, which is where we're doing patient interviews and all that stuff, and that's when we started going to our LCEs, which is longitudinal clinical encounters, where we went to our field sites, which is where we were placed in our clinics, and we did like not rotations, but we shadowed, and we're going to be with them on the span of 2 years, or I think 3 years actually, so that we're able to kind of learn from them. That's the last time you saw my last vlog. That's where I was actually like having to do patient interviews, having to do patient physical exam, and that's what we're learning. It's pretty cool. We go I think 10 times a semester, so that was fun. As I said before, I was placed in a pediatric clinic. I took Spanish for the health professionals because being that I live in New York City and I will be working in Spanish is legit the second language, and no habla inglés, no habla español. So like I don't understand Spanish. That's gonna be really difficult, especially being where you want to be part of every interaction possible, but if you don't understand certain languages, you probably won't be able to, which is kind of hard in New York City. But yeah, so I took that. I took clinical anatomy. So clinical anatomy is not it's you know how you're supposed to take anatomy physiology. I took just anatomy, and it was clinical anatomy, and it was my favorite class thus far, by far. It was amazing. He had an amazing professor, and he basically but it was so intense because I think we took the entirety of anatomy in like 3 months. So yeah, it was January, February, March. We were done like early April or like late March. You go in, you get the lecture, then you're not thrown into the lab, but we went into lab, we dissected, we had questions. Everything was more of like, how can things be clinically affected? So that was pretty cool because it's not just anatomy, learning how everything works and all that stuff, and learning and just memorizing bones and bodies. You actually have to understand, like, okay, if this was to break, what can this impinge on? How could this affect this? It was awesome. I loved it. During that time, we were also taking fundamentals of organ systems. Okay, so now this is where med school legit started, so which is why I say I got my bachelor's in 2.5 years. Because one, you don't really need to take anatomy for your bachelor's, but I'm gonna say it's bachelor's. And the rest, we had a 15 credit course in fundamentals. So fundamentals was basically the beginning of medical school because they taught us everything we needed to know. We learned immunology, microbiology, parasitology, pharmacology, physiology, histology. We learned all of these things. It was 15 credits, and it was a cumulative board at the end that if you didn't pass, you couldn't move on to med school, and I was just shook. Okay, and we had that class, and that taught us everything that we need to know now, especially now that we're in med school. They're just like, well, we taught you this, so we're just moving forward. We're going to teach you this, this, and this. You brush up on that, so you can't say we didn't teach you, and move forward. And yeah, that has been a really tough semester, because I think that, and I also took another class. I took an independent study, which is where I had to write a paper, a research paper, and it was just a lot going on. I was super stressed, super tired, and being that we're the first people going to this new med school, it was kind of difficult because no one could tell us what exactly we need to do to pass. Because you know, it was good up here, oh yo, how'd you pass? And they tell you, but now no one knew how to pass, so that was pretty difficult. And then the end of that semester, I graduated. I got my bachelor's, and now I'm a first-year med student in my spring semester. I guess medical school is a whole different curriculum, but that's how I got my bachelor's. If you want to know more about that, comment down below. So that, my friends, is how I got my bachelor's in 2 years. All the classes I took, all the things that I passed and didn't pass and had to take again, and that's just my life. I'm not gonna sugarcoat it. It's hard out here for a pimp when he's trying to get the money for the rent with a Cadillac and rent money spent. Yeah, okay, so I hope you like this video. Please stay tuned for more videos. I'll leave the playlist down below of all the med school videos I have thus far. Like, comment, subscribe, add me on Instagram and Snapchat at Thrifted Vintage right over here. It's kind of fun. I think my life is kind of interesting. I hope you guys liked this video. I hope it wasn't too rambly. I hope you understood everything that I was saying. I do speak kind of fast. And I hope this sun wasn't bothering you, because it's bothering me with these freaking stripes across my chest. But yeah, peace, love, everything in between. Bye guys. So I am now in the hospital. Oof. Just giving you chocolate. God, it's like, oh, bruh.